안녕하세요, 여러분들. Hello and welcome to the Korean with David Korean alphabet, and this is going to be very in detail. So, we're starting off with the consonants. So, this one is gi역, and it's got a G sound as in girl. So it's g, g, g. So again, that's gi역, and it's a g. Next, we have nian, and this has the N sound like in no. So it's n, n, n. So N like no. Digut has a D, and it's like dog. So it's d, d, d. Lier. Now, this is one of the hardest ones in the Korean language because it does have kind of an L and an R sound depending on where it's placed. Usually, and when we see it, it's got more of like a in between L and R. So it's more like a L. And it's kind of hard, but when we look at it right now, it's actually just an L sound. It's L. But when we go on, we will see, and we're going to cover it again, it's going to have more of like an in between L and R sound. So just be very careful. Words like 사랑, which is to love, it's not like 사랑, but it's not 사랑. It's in between L and R sound. So it's like 사랑, 랑. It's a little harder to pronounce, but we have to remember that about this one. This is a very important one. We've got mium, which has an M sound as in mom. So it's m, m, m. We've got biup, and this is the B sound as in B. So it's b, b, b. The shiot has an S sound. So this is like a s, s. S sound as in like C. So s, s, s. Next we have ing. Now, this one has no sound whatsoever unless you have a vowel with it or it's on the bottom of the writing. If it's on the bottom, it's got like an NG sound, but just by itself, it has no sound. So you must remember that as well. And then we've got the jigut, which is like a J sound, as in joy. So it's j, j, j. Then we've got the chigut, which is a ch sound, as in chop. So that's ch, ch, ch. We've got this one, I believe, is what the tigut, and it's a t sound, as in tree. So t, t, t. And you might be confused because it looks like the English letter E, but if you look at it, it's actually extended out. When you write it, you can actually write it just like an E, but remember it's got a T sound. It's not an E sound, so T. Kyuk has a K sound. Now, this is probably the most common one you'll see because when Koreans write that they're laughing, they put it as k, k, k. It's 3 kyuks. And this has a sound like K and king, so it's k, k, k. Piup is P, as in pizza. So P, P, P. Now, Piup and Biup are, again, they're different shapes, different sounds. We have to remember that. Hyun has an H sound, as in the hello. This is the H, H, H. And again, this is just like the kyuk before. Hyung can be used to laugh as well. Just like H, H, H. It's just hyung, hyung, hyung. But now, you're probably thinking to yourself, but wait, I've seen other consonants as well. This cannot be all of them. Well, you're right and you're wrong. The reason why you'd be wrong is it's not something new. It's not a new letter. It's not a new consonant, but they're what we call the sang letters. So sang is like the double, or you can even think of it as like a twin. So the sang gyok has a hard G sound. It's like a g, almost a K sound. K, g, g. And you kind of put a little bit more emphasis on the G sound. Like just regular 기억 is like go, g, but this is like g. It's a very subtle difference, but when you speak Korean, like it does make a lot of difference because the 쌍기역 will have a stronger G sound. We got the 쌍디귿. And again, this is d. It's a more pronounced, stronger D sound. It's not just a dog, d, but it's d. 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 Now we've got the 쌍비읍. 쌍비읍, it's actually kind of in the middle. It's like b. Even though we know B is like b, but when we see this 바빠, 빠, it's a mix between the B and the P sound. And it's hard to just pinpoint it as like, oh yeah, it's b. It's not really b, but it's more like a b. It's harder to get, but it's also like almost a P sound as well. And then we've got the 상시읒. And this again is just a s. It's more pronounced, it's more stronger s. 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 And we have the 쌍지긋. And this has more of like a j. Almost like a JHA, like a or JH sound like j instead of just the j. And again, it's that emphasis. That's what makes it very important. It's j. 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 Like 짜증나. It uses this. And that's like it's like the j. It's a harder sound. Or 진짜. 진짜, we hear it's a stronger j sound. Now, we've covered all the consonants. And again, let's go back through them again, just so we have a better understanding before we go on to the vowels, and then we'll do the combination. So we've got g, n, d, l, m, b, s, no sound, j, ch, t, k, p, h, and then g, d, b, s, j. Now, the vowels are a lot easier, at least the basics, because we're going to run into the same problem where you might have seen more than just what I'm about to show you, and we will get into that, but there are the different vowel combinations. And again, that's something we'll cover later, but we're going to look at the basic vowels first. So let's start with ah. When you see this, this is ah. 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 And again, you can think like, ah, like, oh, I get it. Ah, okay. Then ah. We have ya. 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 Now, you're going to see something very similar with a lot of these. We've got the one stick kind of pointing out, and then we've got two here. Ah and ya. Now, the other ones will all have very similar points. So, anytime you see double, it should have a Y sound in the beginning. So, ah is one, ya, the two is a Y sound. Then we've got ah. Next, we've got ya. 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 Then o. And again with a double, yo. U. You. Now, this is probably the hardest one to pronounce. When we say the word took, it's that sound. And it's hard because we're not like, it's not took, but it's took. So it's uh, uh, uh. And finally, we've got E. Now, you'll see these last two don't have any like sticks to the side or underneath them, but this is the basic. Now, if you go deeper into how Hangul, the language of Korean, the writing especially, how it was made, you'll see it's all about, it's like a very scientific point to all the letters because it's like the shape of the mouth, how the tongue is positioned in the mouth, but also when we look at the vowels, it's like heaven and earth or the sky and the dirt. Like we see what's there. So and then E. Now, before we go on to the difficult combinations, we're going to cover all of the consonants and vowels that we've just covered, other than the sang letters, the double letters, because those, again, you just have to put a little bit more emphasis on it, and then you can make that sound. So here, the first line, if we look at the top left, I should say, we're going to go across and repeat it 3 times, okay? So we've got ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. So that we're going to cover 3 times. And we just went from left to right. So again, from the beginning, this is going to start number 1. We've got ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. So one more time. Ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. One more time for the top row. That's ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. Now, the second line, the nian, we've got na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, nu, 는, 느, ni. Now, I kind of messed up that n because I said nun, but it's actually n, ni. So we're going to cover that 3 times again. So that's na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, nu, 느, ni. Now the second time, na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, nu, 느, ni. And the last time, na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, nu, 느, ni. All right, time for the digut. This is da, dya, do, dio, do, dio, du, do, d, d. So again, the first time, da, dia, do, dio, do, dio, do, du, d, d. Now again, they can be a little hard, but let's try the second time. Now we've got da, dia, do, dio, do, dio, do, du, d, d. And the third time, da, dia, do, dio, do, dio, do, du, d, d. All right, now to the lir. Now this one, for the beginning of this one, since there's nothing on the bottom, they're all going to sound like the L sound. So we've got la, lia, lo, lio, lo, lio, lu, liu, le, li. So the first time, la, lia, lo, lio, lo, lio, lu, liu, le, li. All right, second time, la, lia, lo, lio, lo, lio, lu, liu, le, li. All right, third time, la, lia, lo, lio, lo, lio, lu, liu, le, li. All right, and then we've got the mium. So this is ma, mia, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. So the first time, ma, mia, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. All right, one more time. Ma, mia, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. And the final time, ma, mia, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. All right. So for these 5, we're going to cover all of them just one time, and then we'll move on to the next. So we've got, starting the top left corner, ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. And second line, na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, niu, nu, ni. The third line, da, dia, do, dio, do, dio, do, do, d, d. All right, the fourth line, I mean. La, lia, lo, lyo, lo, lyo, lu, lyu, le, li. And the fifth line. Ma, mya, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. Ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. And second line. Na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, niu, nu, ni. The third line. Da, dia, do, dio, do, dio, do, do, d, d. All right, the fourth line, I mean. La, lia, lo, lyo, lo, lyo, lu, lyu, le, li. And the fifth line. Ma, mya, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. Ga, gya, go, gyo, go, gyo, gu, gyu, gu, gi. And second line. Na, nya, no, nyo, no, nyo, nu, niu, nu, ni. The third line. Da, dia, do, dio, do, dio, do, do, d, d. All right, the fourth line, I mean. La, lia, lo, lyo, lo, lyo, lu, lyu, le, li. And the fifth line. Ma, mya, mo, myo, mo, myo, mu, 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 mi. Okay, so the next five we've got. The first line is ba, pya, bo, pyo, bo, pyo, bu, 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 bi. So the first time now. Ba, pya, bo, pyo, bo, pyo, bu, 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 bi. All right, second time. Ba, pya, bo, pyo, bo, 뼈, 부, 뷰, 부, 비. And the third time, 바, 뼈, 뻐, 뼈, 보, 뼈, 부, 뷰, 부, 비. All right, so the second line, we've got 사, 샤, 서, 셔, 소, 쇼, 수, 슈, 스, 시. All right, the first time that's 사, 샤, 서, 셔, 소, 쇼, 수, 슈, 스, 시. One more time, that's 사, 샤, 서, 셔, 소, 쇼, 수, 슈, 스, 시. And the last time, 사, 샤, 서, 셔, 소, 쇼, 수, 슈, 스, 시. Now we've got the ing, the special one that always has the vowel sound. So we've got 아, 야, 어, 여, 오, 요, 우, 유, 으, 이. So first time that's 아, 야, 어, 여, 오, 요, 우, 유, 으, 이. All right, one more time. That's 아, 야, 어, 여, 오, 요, 우, 유, 으, 이. And the third time we've got 아, 야, 어, 여, 오, 요, 우, 유, 으, 이. Then we've got the 지읒, which is 자, 자, 저, 저, 조, 조, 주, 주, 즈, 지. So first time that's 자, 자, 저, 저, 조, 조, 주, 주, 즈, 지. Second time that's 자, 자, 저, 저, 조, 조, 주, 주, 즈, 지. And the last time that's 자, 자, 저, 저, 조, 조, 주, 주, 즈, 지. Now for the fifth line, the 치긋. So we've got 차, 차, 쳐, 쳐, 조, 조, 추, chu, ch, chi. So for the first time, that's cha, jia, cho, 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 chu, chu, ch, chi. Second time, that's cha, cha, cho, 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 ju, chu, ch, chi. And the final time, that's cha, cha, cho, 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 chu, chu, ch, ji. So we're going to go back to the top line, the first line, and we're going to read it all the way across one more time. So that's ba, bia, bo, bio, bo, bio, bu, 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 bi. Now the second line, sa, sha, so, sho, so, sho, su, shu, su, she. Third line is a, ya, o, yo, o, yo, u, you, e. Now the fourth line, we've got ja, jia, jo, 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 ju, ju, j, ji. And the fifth line is cha, cha, cho, 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 chu, chu, ch, chi. So we're going to go back to the top line, the first line, and we're going to read it all the way across one more time. So that's ba, bia, bo, bio, bo, bio, bu, 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 bi. Now the second line, sa, sha, so, sho, so, sho, su, shu, su, she. Third line is a, ya, o, yo, o, yo, u, you, e. Now the fourth line, we've got ja, jia, jo, 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 ju, ju, j, ji. And the fifth line is cha, cha, cho, 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 chu, chu, ch, chi. So we're going to go back to the top line, the first line, and we're going to read it all the way across one more time. So that's ba, bia, bo, bio, bo, bio, bu, 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 bi. Now the second line, sa, sha, so, sho, so, sho, su, shu, su, she. Third line is a, ya, o, yo, o, yo, u, you, e. Now the fourth line, we've got ja, jia, jo, 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 ju, ju, j, ji. And the fifth line is cha, cha, cho, 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 chu, chu, ch, chi. Now the chigut and the jigut sound is actually really similar, but it just takes time to practice and listening and writing to really understand which one. Now, we're going to go to the last four left. So we've got kiak, which we start with ka, kya, ko, kyo, ko, kyo, ku, kyu, ku, ki. So for the first time, that's ka, kya, ko, kyo, ko, kyo, ku, kyu, ku, ki. So again, that's ka, kya, ko, kyo, ko, kyo, ku, kyu, ku, ki. And again, the last time, that's ka, kya, ko, kyo, ko, kyo, ku, kyu, ku, ki. All right, the second line, we've got ta, tia, to, tyo, to, tyo, tu, tu, t, ti. So the first time, that's ta, tia, to, tyo, to, tyo, tu, tu, t, ti. One more time, that's ta, tia, to, tyo, to, tyo, tu, tu, t, ti. And one more time, that's ta, tia, to, tyo, to, tyo, tu, tu, t, ti. Now the third line, we've got the piep. So this is pa, pya, po, pyo, po, pyo, pu, pyu, p, pi. So let's try that together. That's pa, pya, po, pyo, po, 표, 푸, 퓨, 푸, 피. All right, one more time. That's 파, 펴, 퍼, 펴, 포, 표, 푸, 퓨, 푸, 피. Now the last time it's 파, 펴, 퍼, 펴, 포, 표, 푸, 퓨, 푸, 피. Now the last row we've got 하, 혀, 허, 혀, 호, 효, 후, 휴, 흐, 히. So all together that's 하, 혀, 허, 혀, 호, 효, 후, 휴, 흐, 히. One more time, that's 하, 혀, 허, 혀, 호, 효, 후, 휴, 흐, 히. One last time, that's 하, 혀, 허, 혀, 호, 효, 후, 휴, 흐, 히. All right, so let's go back to the top line and we're going to go through everything one more time. So that's 카, 캬, 커, 켜, 코, 쿄, 쿠, 큐, 크, 키. Good. So the second line now we've got 타, 튀, 터, 튀, 토, 튀, 투, 튜, 트, 티. The third line we've got 파, 펴, 퍼, 펴, 포, 표, 푸, 퓨, 푸, 피. And the last line we've got 하, 혀, 허, 혀, 호, 효, 후, 휴, 흐, 히. All right, so let's go back to the top line and we're going to go through everything one more time. So that's 카, 캬, 커, 켜, 코, 큐, 큐, 크, 키. Good. So the second line now we've got 타, 튀, 터, 튀, 터, 토, 튀, 튜, 튜, 트, 티. The third line we've got 파, 펴, 퍼, 펴, 표, 푸, 퓨, 퓨, 흐, 휴, 흐, 히. All right, so let's go back to the top line and we're going to go through everything one more time. So that's 카, 커, 켜, 코, 쿄, 쿠, 큐, 크, 키. Good. So the second line now we've got 타, 튀, 터, 튀, 토, 튀, 투, 튜, 트, 티. The third line we've got 파, 펴, 퍼, 펴, 포, 표, 푸, 퓨, 푸, 피. And the last line we've got 하, 혀, 허, 혀, 호, 효, 후, 휴, 흐, 히. All right, so let's go back to the top line and we're going to go through everything one more time. So that's 카, 캬, Ko, kyo, ko, kyo, ku, kyu, ku, ki. Good. So the second line now we've got ta, tia, to, tyo, to, tyo, tu, 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 ti. The third line we've got pa, pya, po, pyo, po, pyo, pu, pyu, pu, pi. And the last line we've got ha, hya, ho, hyo, ho, hyo, hu, hyu, hu, he. Now, before we go on to the different vowel combinations, if we think back to the sang letters, the double letters, when we go through and we make like the the first line on this one, it would just be like ba, bia, bo, bio. It's more, again, it's that pronounced, it's more emphasized, and we can just do the same thing. So if you learn the basics here, you'll be able to pick up that sound a little easier. So what about the different vowel combinations? Because there isn't always just what we just learned, like the aya, oya, oyo, uyu, ui. Even though that's the basic, we're going to go into the combination. So we've got the a, e, and oi, which make a e sound. Now, you might find some other places that say it's like an a sound, but a is not the same as e, and these are e. 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 The next two are ye. 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 Now, these both are different signs, or they're written different, but they're the same sound, as are these two. They're written differently, but they're the same sound. Now we have the o and a, which make a wa sound. Wa. 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 Now, these three, the o, a, e, which is the first one, the middle one, which is an o and e, and the third one, which is an u, o, e, all have the sound as we. 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 So again, they're written differently, but they're all we sound. Now here, the u and the a, we have a wa. 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 Then we have u and e, which is a we. 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 Now, this has got to be the hardest one, because sometimes it's just like a e, but it sounds like but it can also be like a ui. So a lot of times you'll hear it both ways, and you just have to know that this can be ui, 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 or ue, ue, ue. And again, it's hard because there is not like one way to pronounce this. There are a few different, but ui is usually the one you'll hear the most. So hopefully that's the one that you'll come across most often. Now let's combine the consonants and these vowel combinations. So we've got ge, 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 ge. Now again, 1 and 3, ge, ge are the same sound, just written differently. And 2 and 4, ge, ge are written differently, but the same sound. Then we've got the 5th one here is gua, then gue, gue, guo, gue, gui, gui. So again, that's 게, 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 과, que, que, quo, que, qui, qui. One more time, that's 게, 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 qua, que, que, quo, que, qui, qui. One more time, that's 게, 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 qua, que, que, quo, que, qui, qui. The second line, we've got ne, 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 noa, ne, ne, no, nue, nui, and ni. So again, that's ne, 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 noa, ne, ne, no, nue, nui, ni. Again, that's ne, 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 noa, nue, nue, no, nue, nui, ni. Again, that's ne, 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 noa, nue, nue, no, nue, nui, ni. Now, I gotta mention this right now too, is not every consonant is going to be used in these vowel combinations. I just put them all in there so at least you can have the practice of listening to what they are, because without actually going into more detail about the vocabulary and actually like writing sentences, it's hard to tell you which ones you will or which ones you won't use. And it depends on how old it is as well, because there are some older Korean vocabulary that may use it, but we're not going to try to cover that today. We're just going to go over the basic sounds. So the third line, we've got de, die, de, die, toi, due, de, toi, due, dui, dui. De, die, de, die, toi, due, due, duo, due, dui, dui. De, die, de, die, toi, due, due, duo, due, dui, dui. All right, let's go to the fourth line. So that's le, lie, le, lie, loi, lue, lue, luo, lue, lui, li. Le, 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 lie, loi, lue, lue, luo, lue, lui, lui. Le, 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 lie, loi, lue, lue, luo, lue, lui, lui. And let's go to the fifth one here now. We've got me, mie, me, mie, moi, mouais, mouais, mo, mue, mui, mui. So that again is me, mie, me, mie, moi, mue, mue, mo, mue, mui, mui. So that again is me, mie, me, mie, moi, mue, mue, mo, mue, mui, mui. All right, the next five we've got be, pie, be, pie, bois, bue, bue, bois, bue, bui, bui. So again, that's be, pie, be, pie, bois, bue, bue, bois, bue, bui, bui. So again, that's be, pie, be, pie, bois, bue, bue, bois, bue, bui, bui. Second line, we've got se, she, se, she, swa, swe, swe, swo, swe, sui, sui. Again, that's se, swe, se, swe, swa, swe, swe, swo, swe, sui, sui. Again, that's se, swe, se, swe, swa, swe, swe, swo, swe, sui, sui. Then we've got the third line of ye, ye, wa, we, wo, we, wi, ui. Ye, ye, wa, we, wo, we, wi, ui. The next line we've got je, jie, 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 jua, jue, jue, jo, jue, ji, ji. Then we've got again je, jue, je, jie, jua, jue, je, jo, jue, ji, ji. Ye, ye, wa, we, wo, we, wi, ui. The next line we've got je, jie, je, jie, jua, jue, jue, jo, jue, ji, ji. Then we've got again je, jue, je, jie, jua, jue, je, jo, jue, ji, ji. The next line, we've got che, 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 chwa, chue, chue, chwo, chue, chi, and chi. So again, that's che, 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 chwa, chue, chue, chwo, chue, chi, chi. Now, there are also other things like, oh, hold on here. Let me make sure. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th one of the second line, shui, can actually also be pronounced as sho. Every once in a while, it can also have that kind of the sh sound. So when you hear sho, it's usually like, oh, rest. Like, oh, 얼른 쉬세요, 얼른 쉬어요. It's rest. Then let's go on to the last four. Here we've got ke, 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 kwa, kwe, kwe, kwo, kwe, qui, qui. So again, that's ke, 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 kwa, kwe, kwe, kwo, kwe, qui, qui. So again, that's ke, 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 kwa, kwe, kwe, kwo, kwe, qui, qui. Next slide, we've got te, tue, te, tue, twa, tue, tue, two, tue, tui, tui. So again, that's te, tue, te, tue, twa, tue, tui, two, tue, tui, and ti. So again, that's te, tue, te, tue, twa, tue, tui, two, tue, tui, and ti. All right, the third line we've got pe, pie, pe, pie, pwa, pue, pue, po, pue, pui, pui. So one more time, that's pe, pie, pe, pie, pwa, pue, pue, po, pue, pui, pui. So one more time, that's pe, pie, pe, pie, pwa, pue, pue, po, pue, pui, pui. And then the last one we've got here is he, 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 hua, hue, hue, huo, hue, hui, hui. So again, that's he, 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 hua, hue, hue, huo, hue, hui, hui. So again, that's he, 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 hua, hue, hue, huo, hue, hui, hui. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of episode, I know it was really long, like we're going close to 50 some minutes now, but I really wanted to make sure that we got through all the basic sounds. And these are the most common. And again, when you go to the vowel combinations, you might not hear all of those combinations, but it will definitely be helpful for you just to know them, to sound them out. And if you're trying to practice writing your name, find the sounds that are similar to what your name is. You might not find the exact one, but you'll have to find something that's very similar. And now that you know all the combinations and all the sounds, you can find it a lot easier. So again, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment on this video. If you have any other questions, you can put them in the comments below, or you can send me an email at learnkoreanwithdavid@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Join the Discord server, which is also another really great place to go and find other people who are wanting to practice as well. I also want to say thank you to my Patreons, and they're going to be listed here. If you want to support me, check out the link in the description as well for the Patreon site. And again, 봐줘서 감사합니다. 다음에 봐요.